Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on today's webinar. My name is Alexis Bailey, and for those of you who don't know me, I'm the Director of Customer Relations here at Community Income Tax. Joining me today is Don Evanoff, the Technology Product Manager over at Wolters Kluwer. And today, the two of us are going to go over all of the built-in features you guys have in TaxWise Online. So we're going to go over the mobile application, your Vault, which is going to be your paperless storage, your client notes, and a couple other fun products. Through the webinar, I'm sure you guys will come up with a couple of great questions. So on your screen, you should see a Q&A button. You can go ahead, type any questions you have there throughout the webinar, and then we'll go ahead and take all of those questions at the very end. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you, Don.
Thanks, Alexis. I appreciate it. Hi, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. So we will get started with the built-in products, and you'll see I have a return up on my screen. I dug back through to look for one that had a lot of documents in it. It's a 22 return, but apparently this person just grabbed every document they could think of, because when I opened them, some of them were from 13 and 14. So they must have taken anything they had on their computer and used them. They're all fake documents, but they grabbed old stuff. So one of the things that you have is Vault, and Vault is a document source storage area. So all of your source documents, your W-2s, if they bring that daycare piece of paper that has the EIN and how much they paid for what kid and everything else on it, anything like that you can store within Vault. It then stays right with the tax return. So if I scroll all the way to the bottom of the tree, you'll see that this particular return has a 1099-R. It has something that they didn't name it, so it says capture. But if you look, you'll see also that it was actually done on 9/15 of 23. It has two W-2s and a sample driver's license. Again, those are all source documents that you can get into the system two ways. One is to take a photo of the document. So if you have a USB camera that connects to your laptop, some people set this up like up at the receptionist desk for when they come in. And what they'll do is a lot of times, and there's a lot of new ones when I went in and looked recently because of all the kids being home during COVID, and they're a lot less expensive as well. So they have document cameras where you just lay the document on the table underneath it and you can click photo. So you can do that, or some people use a tablet. So the receptionist will have a tablet. You can do it with your phone too, guys, but I have a hard time with the phone. It's too little for me. But if somebody's good with their phone, you have to start the return. So you would have to log into TaxWise Online. You would have to start the return with the Social Security number twice. I would recommend they type the taxpayer's name in, or do carry forward if it's a returning customer, so that you've got the name and everything there. And then what they would do is they would click on this little box up here. It looks like a file cabinet box, storage box, and click for Vault. Then they can click on photo and take a photo. I don't have a camera attached to my computer. So the other option you have is that if you have a scanner, you can scan the documents in and save them to a location. I will tell you right now that taking the photo is much more secure than scanning it and saving it somewhere, because then you have personal taxpayer information on something, your server, a computer in your office, something. So it's kind of worth it to buy one of the document cameras. They just connect USB. They may even be USB now with the newer ones. And you just slide the document under it and you would click photo and it will take the picture. The other option is to import it if you scan it in. And I'm going to click import. And we're just going to go to my pictures because I have old documents as well. So we're just going to come in here and let's see what I've got. I've got a 21 W-2. So we'll choose this particular one. You'll see I'm just going to get that B off there. I don't know what that B actually is. And we'll go ahead and click open. Oh, don't tell me I did something with it. Let's try it again. There we go. And I'm sorry, when we do a share, it's pretty slow. Came in okay. So you'll see here now, I have that W-2 that I imported in. So I can click on this and you'll notice up here, it came up at the top. I'll open it and there is the 21 W-2. And again, I'm in 22, so it's the wrong year. But then you can always, if you have dual screens, you can always pull the document over to the other screen and enter the information within the tax return that you need. So you can get those source documents in. Also, when you are done with the return, when you do e-signature and you send the e-signature out, once they sign it and check complete, you will get, and you'll see here, this tax return signed, and it shows this one was signed 09/19 of 2003, as well as a completion certificate, which is what you need for the IRS. It's the security component of it for doing e-signature. So you have both of them stored right with the tax return. So if the IRS wants to audit something or says, hey, they're saying they didn't sign the return, you have the completion certificate as well as the signed return for you. So think about it. You can take pictures of driver's license, social security cards. The other thing too that some people do is they even take a picture of the taxpayer. So they have an actual photo of the taxpayer. So when they come to pick up the check, they can actually look at the photo and make sure they're handing the check to the right person. So again, whatever your process is in your office, think about how this will fit in. Now you have no document storage in paper format in your office to be a security risk and that you have to deal with in your security plan. So this works really well. You'll notice it says scan document. Currently, there's an OCR in it to scan W-2s and 1099 miscellaneouses only. You can do it if you want to. I will tell you that scanning it and then checking all the numbers on the screen and then importing it currently takes longer than if you just type the numbers in, okay? I think as AI progresses and things get better with AI, I think we'll see that change. But currently with the OCR technology, it will tell you like the accuracy rate. So if you see something that's like a 12% accuracy, you'd look at it and make sure it was correct and fix it. But for stuff that's 95, 98, it's pretty much spot on. But it takes so much longer at this point that it doesn't take so long to scan it, but to import it kind of takes longer than it would take me to type it in. So try it. You can just go in and scan the document. I'm going to say add a new form. You can overwrite the old one. So if you have carry forward and you don't want to use last year's W-2s, you want to overwrite them, you can choose overwrite. But I'm just going to do add a new form and scan. Again, it's a little slower because of the share, but so it comes up pretty quick from the scan. It's the import that to me always takes forever. So you'll see this is 85% accuracy on these, and it is Center, Alabama. I don't think 12A is a visit, so I would delete this. and 12B, they actually took the number there, so I would delete this. So again, all the time that you've got to go through and fix everything is kind of time consuming versus just typing in what you need. And you'll see here, it does very well of picking up numbers within the W-2 and things. But again, you've got to verify it all. So to me, it's just quicker to end up typing in the W-2. And again, you can import it once you've checked them all, but it's not something most people will use. Using Vault will save you so much time. It'll also save you money because you won't be buying file cabinets, file folders, making copies of things or double printing something to put it in the file folder, and then having to pay someone to file it all. So it really does change how you do business. And again, saving time and saving money is what it's all about. So try using your Vault and see how you like it. And again, some people use the process where they have the receptionist start the return and either carry it forward or enter the taxpayer name, and then take pictures. A lot of people buy inexpensive tablets so that they've got them around and they can just take photos and upload it right to that tablet. So as long as it connects to the internet, it has a camera on it, you're good to go. And with the documents, you don't need super high resolution because they're all black and white and pretty basic. So it doesn't take a lot. So that works really well. So Alexis, I'm going to ask you, do we see any questions about Vault yet in there?
I'm not seeing anything just yet.
Okay, so what I'm going to do then is I'll move over to e-signature. I just wanted to make sure before we got off of it, if there was anything that was popping up as I was talking, that we had it. So you're going to get the source documents. You're going to put them in Vault. You're going to do the tax return based on those source documents. Again, for virtual office, it's nice because if you can't be in the office that day and you're home, again, the receptionist at the office can get everything set up, get all the documents in so you have them. And then also the other reason a lot of them use the cheap tablets is because then they can also set up like a FaceTime or a Facebook Messenger where you can video call, so that if you're home and the customer happens to be in the office, maybe you've got a sick kid or something's wrong at home and you had to stay home, you don't have to cancel any of your clients. You can still take care of them. So they can use that tablet and set up some sort of video conferencing, and then you can talk to them and do the return like you would normally do across the desk from you. Once you've completed the return, and you can use the e-signature, whether they're sitting in front of you, again, because you want to try and do everything digitally, or whether, like, say, the wife is sitting in front of you and the husband is at his office. You can send it to both of them to sign the documents on their own devices. So, and again, a lot of people have kind of gotten germophobic because of COVID, which can't blame them. So they like being able to sign on their phone, on their smartphone. So again, once you're done with the return, you will click on e-signature. Oh, we're going to see this one says it's already been sent. So I'm going to get these messages saying it already got sent. So do I want to send it again? I'm going to say yes. I normally would not, but I want you to see the screen. So here, how is the taxpayer going to sign? So if they're in front of you and you've looked at their ID and you've looked at that person and you know it's Luis, you would pick in person. And then Luis will get an email on his cell phone. And when he clicks here, it will have him just sign on his phone. So he can use his finger and sign, or he can pick a font and sign. So I'm going to do on taxpayer's device because what they see is similar. Once they get the email and click, you have a document to sign, click here, but so that I can show you on this screen. So I'm going to do it on taxpayer's device. I'm going to change his email. Nope, not going to let me. We got to go back in, but it's here. We don't need it. And then for the ERO, again, whether you have them sign electronically or you do not, it's up to you. Of course, if it was a married filing joint return, I would have the spouse as well. So I would do the spouse that's in front of me on in person, and then the one that's not, I would have chosen the remote. And then they will get those emails and go from there. I'm just going to click submit. We're going to pretend we sent the emails. We're going to pretend they clicked. I'm going to sign the document, click here to get the documents. And in a minute, when this opens, you'll see what they see. So here is the document. So what they'll do is there's terms and conditions about signing it. You really should have them read it. They'll click it. Please select the adopt signature button to type or draw your signature. So they'll click adopt. And then again, if they have a touch screen, they can just sign it in the box. I do not. So I'm going to do typed, but they can do that as well. And then they can change the font if they want. Let's do this again and not get the scroll bar to mess up. Here we go. So I like this one. We're going to use this one instead. And we'll click adopt signature. And then we'll come in and apply signature. And we'll click on the next one and apply signature. And then you'll see here the signatures are here. Once the signatures are done, we're going to click submit. You'll notice it says completed. I'm going to refresh my online, and you see it said sent. Give it a minute. We'll refresh it again. It will change to completed. There we go. It came up. So it says completed. So when they send it back to you, it will show as completed. And I can click here and get to my vault as well, or I can scroll down to the bottom. And we'll look here, and it should say signed return. Here we go. See 12/14/23 signed return. So here's the signed document. So there's his signature right there. And then if I scroll down, I should also have the 8879. This has all sorts of crazy forms in it. And there's his signature there as well. He must have used something different before and signed it, because it looks like a different font than what I used. So your documents are all here and signed. You're good to go. You can go ahead and transmit the return, because now you have the signed documents. So again, e-signature is time saving. It helps you get paid faster if one spouse comes in and does the return. And usually we would keep the old paper returns and wait for the other spouse to come and sign it. A lot of times they were supposed to stop on their way home from work and forgot. And then it would go a week before we could get them in to sign. So now you can just email them and they can sign it right from work or wherever they are if you use that remote signature. And you want to use the remote because that asks them questions to verify that it's really them signing it, because they're not in front of you for you to check their ID. So that's very, very important. Okay. One of the things, and again, you can do photo, you can import to Vault. If you have Client Portal, Alexis, do any of your customers use Client Portal?
We have a couple. It's not one of our more widely used products, but we do have a couple. That's a product we offer at a discounted rate for what TaxWise sells it for.
Okay, so the Client Portal, if you happen to have it, let's say they want a copy of their return, their signed return, you can just check the box and upload it to Client Portal. If the taxpayer used mobile, which we're going to talk about in a minute, but I don't want to have to come back here. So if the taxpayer used TaxWise mobile to get you the documents, they will be in here as well. And if they need that copy of the signed tax return, again, the one we did today, all you have to do is unlock it. Well, it slid. Hold on. There you go. And you'll see that it's unlocked. Then in their mobile, they can get a copy of this and they can either save it electronically or print it out, whatever they want to do. But that document will be back in their mobile app. So again, if they used TaxWise Mobile to send you the documents, then you can share back any of the documents with them on mobile. So if they call and say, I can't find my W-2 and I need it, I'm buying a new car and they want the W-2 from last year, you can just come in and unlock that W-2. And then in their mobile app, they will have that W-2. And again, it's scrolled up. There's another unlock. And so they will be able to have that document right on their phone or tablet, whatever they're using. So you have that as well. Okay. The next thing I have on my list is notes. So we have an item here. All of a sudden, I'm like looking and going, where did my client note button go? Hold on. Let me clear my filters and get all my returns back. So you have client notes in your tax return. It probably was in another one and I just didn't see it. So you have client notes. Anytime that you want to add a note, and somebody went blah, blah, blah on this one, but let's say you're doing your return and your customer forgot to bring their real estate taxes. They brought their mortgage interest and you're in an area where their amounts for all of their stuff are more than a standard deduction, okay? So you really need the real estate taxes. So if I click add note, I can come in and type in my note, need RE taxes to complete. Okay. And then I would just click save, or I can print the note to give it to them so that, especially if they have 4 or 5 things they need to remember to bring back because they forgot to bring in the first place, you can print the note as well. But if I click save, it will save the note. You'll notice when I clicked add note, it put my username, which is admin, because I'm logged in as admin and I can do returns. And it has the day, the date, and the time that I put the notes. So this is, as I said, good if people forget to bring source documents for you to finish the return. A lot of people also use this for their rejects. So if this return rejected, I would come in and add a note and say, called and left message on voicemail about, I'm just going to say Johnny. I don't know who the son is or if there even is one on here. Johnny's SSN, comma, date of birth, and name doesn't match. Whatever the reject is. So then I know that Thursday at 1:24, I called and left a message on their voicemail about the reject. And then if they call back and say they're coming in tonight and the receptionist gets the call, the receptionist can add the client notes in it. And then you know that whoever your receptionist is, they put a note in, the customer's going to come back tonight around 7 to bring you the the social security cards and blah, blah, blah. So you can always add whatever notes you want in here. And again, guys, this is a huge time-saving feature. For those of you that have been around a long time, we used to use sticky notes in file folders. So if someone came in and we did their return and they forgot their mortgage interest or real estate taxes or whatever they forgot, we would put a sticky note or we'd write on the inside of the file folder, you know, the date and waiting on real estate taxes to complete the return. And then we had a pending return file drawer where all of them stayed there. So then if the customer called in and said, I forgot, what was I supposed to bring back? We would have to go find the file, find the sticky note in the file, come back to our desk on the phone and tell them what they needed to forget. And that doesn't take that long to do it. The problem is every time you get out of your chair, someone talks to you. Whether it's another preparer in your office or whether it's another client that's sitting there that sees you and asks you how your kid's doing playing ball, it always takes up time if you get out of your seat. You never get out of your seat and are back in it in 30 seconds, unless it's just you in the office and nobody else. I mean, if you're sitting at a desk and the pending files are right in your drawer and you're not getting up or doing anything, that's fine. But all of this is then all with the return. If you need to look it up when you're home or you're out and about, you can do that. I always carry a tablet with me so that I can look up anything anybody needs. Again, you can do it on your phone if you can see it. I just can't. It's too small for me. So I always use my tablet. So, and again, I could add the notes if I needed to put a note, if I talked to him on my phone. And I had to put a note in here, I could come in and add the client note as well. I'm going to go ahead and click save and we'll close that. Okay, Alexis, any questions in there about Vault, e-signature, or notes?
Yeah, let me see. 1 second here. To see these notes, do we have to click on client notes or can they be seen in another location in the tax preparation software?
So there's a couple different places that you can do it as well. And that's not one of them. I just found that out. You used to be able to do them here. There they are. So in the return summary way at the bottom, apparently when I was looking before, I didn't scroll far enough down. There are all the client notes. So anything notes that have been entered, I can see them here. I can also add another note if I need to add a note. And I'm just going to close this because we also have this return query summary. So let's say I'm working on random client's tax return and I think I have a Michael Evanoff. So let's do that. Let's click return summary up here in the corner. And I'm going to type Evanoff. Only if I can spell my own last name. And we're going to say it was Michael Evanoff that called with the 777. So I'm going to open his because he just called me and said, okay, what did I forget? I forgot what it was. I can open his and look in. So, oh, we need your spouse to come sign it. Or I can add a note that he's called and his wife's going to come in Tuesday at 2, right? So I can click add a note. Wife will be in. I would put the date, but again, just showing you here. So we can scroll down and again, I'll save. So you can do it from the return summary. If you're in the return that you want to put it in because you're working on the return and finishing it, you can do it from the return summary within the return or the client notes button, any of those three. Hold on, let me click out of here and close this. There we go. Sorry, it's a little screen, and when I'm sharing, I got to like scroll all over to get what I need to do to shut things out. Save and close. And again, one of the new things is we added this return summary. So no matter where you are, you can go in and look at somebody's return information. Okay. So again, if I'm working e-filing and I'm doing, selecting returns to e-file and doing everything else in e-file, and Mr. Evanoff calls in to ask a question, if I can get it to open. There we go. I can just click on the return summary. I don't have to go back to the tax returns like I used to. So I can get to that from any one of the tabs that I'm on. That's why we moved it up to that top right hand, not quite up in the top corner, but close to it, so that you can do a return summary search no matter what you're doing at the time and be able to get the information you need as well.
And you can also see it on the tax return tab, right? Right next to the social, isn't it, Dawn?
Let me click on there.
The little bubbles.
The little bubble guy right here. So you see here, it has client notes. And if I click on it, it will show it. And then if I click more, it will open it as a box here. And that is available here. And it should also be in mobile returns as well. Bubble. That's crazy. They used a different icon here. So in the mobile, it's actually the squares because you have conversations within mobile. So they have that here as for the open conversation. So the client notes is a square here rather than what it looks like in the returns, but you can get it from any of those as well. I think eventually they're going to go away, guys. I would start getting real used to using this return summary because again, that's available no matter where you are in the return rather than having to be in a return or on a returns tab. So we left everything here this year, but we're trying to move everybody over to that return summary search. So I'd start trying to use that and get used to it because we think that's a better way. But again, we have the others as well, so you can do that.
All right, and it looks like the last question we'll take right here is actually having to do with e-signature. If it looks like the client went to try and access e-signature in 2023 and was given a message to update their privileges. Can we go over under settings where you go ahead and assign those privileges?
Sure. So for your users, the admin would log in as admin and go to settings. And then under manage users, you'll see, let's see, let me add one to somebody. My guys all have an administrator. Hold on. Here, we'll give it to this gentleman here. So he has return preparer and licensed user. So if I want to give him e-signature, that would be here as well. Okay, so you would give them the role of e-signature and click save. And now if I logged in as Luis, I would now have the ability to use e-signature. The other thing that right now with e-signature in 23, we don't have the print button yet. So we can't create the printed return to then do e-signature. So right now it's not, you're going to get errors with it until we can print. So when you see the print button, then you would be able to do the e-signature. So again, you may get other errors as well because the actual documents, print documents are not there yet. That will be with an update either late in December or very early in January. So again, you'll see that shortly. Anything else?
Nope, everything else. Oh, I'm so sorry. No. How do we delete notes?
How do we delete what?
How do we delete notes?
Usually they stay. I just have to go look because at one point we had a back end way that we could. So let me go here. Come on, tax returns. Yeah, I think they're going to stay. They're going to stay in it. Let me try opening the return and see. We used to be able to go in and highlight them and delete them, but typically they stay in so that they carry forward. A lot of people use them for things like if you have a divorced couple and the wife can claim the kids on odd years and the husband can claim on even, and you put that note in so that you've got it. Or if you've had trouble with a child's information and it rejected, a lot of times if you put that in there, it stays as well. So a lot of times those client notes stay in. Let's see. No, I'm not going to be able to. Yeah, at this point you can't. I didn't think you could, but at one point we had it where you could go in and click on it and delete it, highlight it and clear it out. It wouldn't get rid of the whole note, still the admin and date and time would be there, but it would be blank. But now it's not, it's just going to keep them.
All right, and it looks like that's our last question on this section, so we can go ahead and move on to the next one.
Okay, so Alex, the other thing you asked me in here was return query. So we kind of went over that with the return summary search. But I want to just talk about the tabs a little bit for a minute, and then I'll go on to return stages. So again, one of the new things this year is that you have to just start typing and you don't have to put the whole social in to look for it anymore. And you can type some of the social security number, or you can type some of the name and it will show up. Once you choose it and click go, you have your taxpayer information right here. You'll have your income information. So we've added a lot more information here readily available in that return summary as well. So you'll see here you have the information, the AGI, if they had EIC, how much it would be. Everything's here. Their tax liability, how much was withheld, if there was any estimates, and then refund or balance due as well. The e-file status. And again, I don't send anything, so I don't really have anything here. But anything, you would have your submission ID and all your information for your e-filing there. If there was rejects, you would have your reject information here as well. And then this fee summary and payments. If it says fee summary and payments, it's either a paper return or an e-file return. Otherwise, it will say bank product. Okay. So the name will change if it's a bank product versus if it's an e-file or paper return. And then of course you have your client notes as well. So it's a lot more information in the new return summary than we had in the return query previously. So that was a big plus there and a big change this year for us to have that for everybody. So that works really well. Okay. The next thing I have on my list to show you is return stages. And I'm going to go ahead and save and close this return because you actually set up the return stages as administrator, and you'll find it under your settings. And then if you come to your general settings, you have your return stages. Again, you can use this for different things, and don't confuse return stages with return status. So in the tax return grid, you have a column for return status, and you have a federal and a state, and that will say whether you created the e-file, whether you sent the e-file, whether the return was accepted or rejected, and it gets updated automatically, as you press the button to create the e-file, or after you transmit the e-file to the IRS or the state. When the act comes back and it's accepted or rejected, it automatically updates the status. What the return stage is for are those returns that are missing something. So again, like I showed you in the client notes, you can make a list of items of why a return isn't done. So you'll see here, back when we had the advanced child tax credit, I added that in. So you can come in and add in anything that's different for this year. When we had the ACA stuff come in, I don't even remember what year that was. I had information here about, one of the things they would forget is bringing you any kind of insurance information for health insurance. So you can change what you have in your list based on the year and what's going on. But I looked at the items. Usually they didn't bring me EITC information that I can use for my due diligence, right? So I need something to prove that the kids live with them. They have different last names. So I need school records or something, and they didn't bring them to help me with that EITC due diligence. I also put that it's an estimate because in my office, we did estimates in early January. It gave all the preparers time to kind of play around in the software and get used to it again. Even if they were returning preparers, they hadn't worked on it maybe since last April. So doing estimates and navigating within the software just to help speed up where things are and moving around in it, I believe helps people. So we did estimates. So I wanted my returns that were estimates to be marked. So I knew that it wasn't a live return we started and that the customer just didn't bring all their information. It was an estimate we did. And you could do estimate, phone estimate, or walk-in estimate if you wanted to know the difference. It's up to you. But you create this list by typing something down in this box and then clicking add. You'll notice I did completed because once you choose this within the grid or anywhere else, you will it stays. You can't get it blank again. So completed after you get the information. But you see here, I have missing Social Security, a W-2. I need a signature. They need to pay. You'll notice I put C client notes in here when I created that, because again, I don't use this in the client notes unless they forgot a couple things usually. And so this tells me that they forgot more than one thing and I have the list in my client notes. So I added that in here. The other thing, I just had someone who only one person is going to be e-filing all the returns, and they want to know when they're ready to be reviewed by the woman and be transmitted. So you can also add something like ready for review if there's a process you have in your office and you want to track that process. So not with you actually creating an e-file, but maybe you do a return and then it goes to someone to be reviewed. And then after the person reviews it, if it's okay, they send it to an e-file manager who then transmits it. Then I would add in here, rather than ready for review, I would add another one and say ready for transmission and click add. And then you'll see that all the way on the bottom. So, and you can rename them or delete them. So you can do that as well. Like more info. I use this to train, so I type all sorts of weird things, but I wouldn't use more info, so I could just go ahead and delete that if I wanted, or I could rename it. So return stages, again, will help you from having to get up and look in a file as to why the return isn't completed. Why, when you look at your return grid, I'm going to hit save and close. When you look at your return grid, I used to look at it and I'd have like 200 returns that were here. Instead of saying created, it would say, the status would say in progress. And I'd be like, why do I have 200 returns in progress? Well, because they were estimates, but nobody marked them as estimates. So I didn't know. And then the other thing is, on the ones that have items, like here it says see client notes, I can look and say, okay, Mary, you call everybody that's needing a spouse's signature and ask them what we need to do to get that signature. Do we want to use the remote signature? they'll get an email every day to remind them to sign it. So what's the problem that the person's not signing it? Let's figure it out. Let's get it signed, because until you can get the signatures and transmit the return, you're not getting paid, right? So you need to think about that and how you want to work it. Or if there's a daycare that they need an EIN for, maybe somebody else has that daycare and you can get the EIN that way. So you can go through and use these stages again in different ways, but it makes you much more efficient. You're not flipping through file folders looking for stuff. It's all right there in your face. So this works really, really well for you and helps use it, or the process. Like I said, the person I just talked to, her preparers do the returns, but she reviews every one of them. So they need a way to let her know, because they're not in the same building, that they're done with the return and it's ready to be reviewed by her. And then she'll have all the documents in it. She can review the whole thing, make sure everything looks good. And then she would, of course, transmit it. So that's why we also use the in review added. So you can use it for different reasons. So here's ready for review. And there we go. The other thing too is you can come in and you can filter by it. So if I want to look at just one thing, like ready for review, I can just do that. And all my returns that are marked ready for review would be here. So I can just start working through them, reviewing them, and transmitting them. Okay. Remember, under this little wheel, there is clear filters. We get calls all the time that everybody's tax returns disappear. And it's not that they disappeared, it's that a lot of them backspace out the filter to delete it. So they'll come in and they'll just backspace through it, and they'll even leave their cursor still there. So they actually haven't cleared it. And so that's where all their returns went, because the filter's still there for whatever they had in there. And we see that a lot, that people call panic that all their returns are gone. And when we click that little wheel and say clear filters, all the returns miraculously come back and they're very happy. So again, that is your return stages and how you would use them. Alexis, any other questions or anything before we move to mobile app? And do you want to show setup or just how it's used?
If you want to briefly go over the setup, system, we don't have to go crazy in depth on it, but if you can show them where to access everything. The only question we had, and I know you kind of hit on it, how would they mark it as an estimate?
Sorry, how would they mark it as what?
Estimate.
Oh, so I created that list and estimate was in it. So I would do the drop down box once I did it and just mark it as an estimate.
Perfect. Yep. So I think we're good for mobile.
Okay. And my Alexa just answered me again. I'm just calling you Alex from now on.
She gets me every time.
All right. So on here, I'm going to go up to the administrator and again, go to settings, and you will have co-brand mobile app to set up your app. You'll click on here. Mine's set up possibly a little different. You may just have your office there. So what I'm going to do is talk to you about where people mess up, okay? Because I don't need to tell you to fill in, your ERO name. You can handle all this stuff. This is where some people mess up. Everything else on all the tabs here, you can come back in and change. The only thing, once you create your mobile site, which you see where mine says update mobile site down at the bottom, when you come in for the first time, it will say create until you've created it. Then it'll change to update. You cannot change the site name. So make sure it's spelled correctly. Make sure it's what you want it to say, because it's yours. That is the only item in here you cannot come back in and change. Okay? Everything else If you don't like it, you can come back and change it. Okay. If I want it to be all caps instead of Evanoff tax solution with upper and lower, I can come back and change it. If I realize, oh, I'm an idiot, it's 11 Main Street, not 1, I can come in and change it. So anything here you can change. I can also change the site type. Light is less questions. Full is a lot more questions. And of course, Puerto Rico is for anybody in Puerto Rico. All right. So that is on your first tab. The second tab is what gives everybody fits. And it's one of those, read the screen. And if you read the screen and follow what it says, you're good to go. But you can only use a PNG format for your logo. So if your logo's in a JPEG, you have to use some other software to convert it to a PNG. The other thing too is for the website logo, the resolution has to be 250 by 150, because again, it's a rectangle up in the top left-hand corner. So that 250 by 150 is making it a rectangle. And then the big one is that it cannot exceed 32 KB. I have seen people load up logos and been like, it's PNG, it's 250 by 150, but it's not working. Well, because it's 90 KB. So as long as the specs that are here are met and you can save that logo in those specs, you just click browse, find the logo, and then you click upload once you have found the logo. Okay. You do the same thing for the mobile app logo to get the little icon on the taxpayer's phone, tablet, computer, whatever. It's a little box, right? Think about your icons on your phones. They're a little kind of square box. So again, it's PNG format, but this time it's a 512 by 512 because again, it's square. It's not rectangular. And then again, it cannot exceed 32 KB. Once you browse to it, you click upload. It shows you, well, I didn't mean to do that. It shows you what it looks like. Okay. That's where people get in trouble here. The prep fees, you can determine whether you want to show them or not. Again, remember there's only one prep fee. So it's not according to forms. So if you price according to forms and don't have a single flat rate, you'll probably want to uncheck and not show the prep fees. About and contact. About is you can type a little paragraph about your office, how long you've been in business, what kind of services you offer, whatever you want, but it's about your business. And then your contact information is how you want to work with the taxpayer, whether you want to show a phone number so that they can call a phone number, or whether you want an email address that they can email every question or anything they have to you, or whether you want to use the message section right in mobile. So I have all three checked. But remember, if you're using email, you have to have somebody monitoring that email all the time, because they may be in the middle of doing an interview and they may send something to you. So you got to keep an eye on that email, whatever email address you give them in your setup, so that you're responding to them timely. On your customized homepage, you can change all your colors to match yours. If you know the RGB or the hashtag or the hash number, you can just enter those numbers. Otherwise, there's like a color box and you can just do the slider to wherever you want it to pick colors. I do crazy colors with mine, just so you know. A lot of times I have hot pink or bright yellow, just so it doesn't look exactly like this, because that's what everybody sees. If you don't change anything, this is what you get. Okay. And that's on the overview. You just go down and change everything. you'll see I uploaded a different picture. Here it can be more formats, but it still has to be a 512 by 512 because it's a square, but it gives you a larger size file as well. A lot of times people take pictures of the front of their offices if people and customers are used to coming to their office, or they'll take pictures of their staff. Again, if you have staff that's been with you for a long time, because then when they open it, they say, oh, there's Mary. I know Mary. That's who always does my taxes. I'm in the right place. Or if they see the front of your building, or they know your logo and stuff on it. Some people do that as well for the image. So you'll go through all of these and set them up the way you want them to be set up. There's really everything else is basically you read it and figure it out and do it from there. The themes is where your colors are. And again, you'll see I have like a purpley pink. I have some weird colors in mine as usual. And you'll choose whatever colors. Again, if you have your RGB or your hash numbers, you can enter them. If you are picking colors, you can just slide. And so I'm going to change that to royal blue. So you would just pick what you want here and then which shade within this box. Okay, so I'll pick that one. And then we'll click Update Mobile Site. Again, the first time you do it, it's going to say Create. And then you can click here to look at it. So I'm going to click here to see what my mobile site looks like. So there's that purpley color and that royal blue. So you can see those colors there for my site. There's my picture. That's our Wolters Kluwer jewel, as we call it. So that's there. Also, if you look here, I did, instead of sign up, I changed it to say create an account. And instead of saying sign in, I changed it to say log in. So they can do that. And then here, I made it say need to get back to an existing interview. So if they start and they want to come back in, this is where they can click to get back into the interview and finish up that tax return interview and submit it. Okay. When you're in here, these three little lines here, remember earlier I said if you unlock it, and of course I'm not going to have it here because this is not in a taxpayer's account. There'll be a document listed here when it's a taxpayer logged in. This is where they can come back and look at their documents that you unlock in Vault. Then they will be here. But again, they have to upload them from mobile to you in order for you to have those documents. They can sign up with email or social media account. I, of course, have to use my email because I've used my social media account so many times. And you think about it, it's one account for a taxpayer. So if I've already used mine and submitted a return, I can't log in as something else, or I would have to. So for me demoing, I always have to pick different things. So mine are all used up. But for a new taxpayer, again, if they click sign up here or create an account down below, they can come in and do whatever they want. No dot, wrong one. I'll get a verification code. And then this is how the taxpayer would see it. I cannot type today. It's pretty bad when you can't type Gmail. So you'll see here, I got this. There's my code. 515706. I don't know why I didn't just paste it after I copied it. Verify the code. I can then create my password. And if I want, I can put my name on here. I'll put Dawn and click create. And I didn't match my. Try it now. And there I'm in as the taxpayer. Okay. So that's basically how it works. They will go through and answer questions. Okay. And just answer the questions as they need be. I'm in Georgia. Did you live there for 12 months? I'm single, not really, but that's what we're saying. I'm not a widower. So they just would go through and answer all of the questions. Okay. I can't be claimed as a dependent. I don't have dependents. And then here with things like their employment income, this is where they would upload their W-2s. So this is where they would take a photo of it and upload that document. Whoop, let's highlight it. Go next. So I'm just going to say it's 24,000 and it's 2,400. No combat pay. That's a big old zero. And this is actually in the estimate part. So when I say no and click next, when I do the interview, I'm just going to click next. It gives the results for the estimate. I can click continue. And then it comes in, there's my filing status. This is where I would enter my name and everything here. To actually finish the interview. So the first was the actual refund estimator. You can turn it off if you want or not. It's up to you. Oh, I typed in, it didn't come in. Let's go to next. Yes. And the nice part is this is my work computer, so I don't order anything here. So just so you know. But if you do, if you're using something, if the taxpayer is using something that they order things, like when they start to type up the address, it will come in and automatically they can do autofill. So it takes a lot less time because they're not having to type everything in. They can just click on the autofill. And then they will have to do a few things because like social security number won't come in. Things like that you'll have to do. And again, here's where you can come in, do your information, see if I have to do everything, or I can select a file to upload. And again, we'll go into saved pictures. I've got some driver's licenses there. All fake, of course. So here I got a lady's one there. You see it says file uploaded successfully, so you know. And then you also see its name, taxpayer identification. I can select the state. So that's how they upload their documents. That's what I was trying to get to show you, is how they actually do the uploads as well. They would continue on with the information that they've got. When they say the W-2, again, they will enter information and select the file to upload and upload the documents and move on to the next thing. So any documents they have, they would upload them here. I'm just going to say IRS check here because I don't want to have to put routing, transit, and account number in. This, they can then review everything that they've put in. It says, what's your preferred contact method? So do they want us to call them, text message? Again, depending on the age of the taxpayer, you'll get different answers. And when they click submit my interview, you'll notice now it says it was submitted successfully. My computer just plopped and I had a black screen there for a minute. And you'll notice that it says that the submission was received. So that then goes to TaxWise Online. And if I go into my TaxWise Online, Hasn't come through yet. Let's refresh it. Oh, you know what? I'm in 22 and it's been rolled to 23. It's not going to come in. Right above here, it will show. Let me see if I can change it to 23. There you go. So you see here, it says import interview. There is the interview that I was just doing. You see, I submitted it and it's here. So I'm going to open it. This one, and again, because I use fake numbers all the time in the same thing, tells me I have carry forward. Do I want to use the carry forward data before importing? So carry forward and import, or just import the new return? So again, it depends who it is and how they're using it. If it's your existing clients and they're not typing everything in, they're doing little basics but uploading all their documents, you could do carry forward and import, or you could do, so it would do the carry forward as well as import the documents and things. So I'm going to give it a minute and refresh it. And then we're going to look in here and see if they're here yet. Yeah. So there are the interview responses that they did. So you've got that file. And then remember, I just uploaded the driver's license, nothing else, the lady's driver. So it's here. So everything they uploaded will be here. Any information they typed in. And because I did carry forward, I have all sorts of crazy stuff I see. So it imported last year's information. So the spouse, which I didn't enter, the birth dates and everything else are all here because I used the carry forward. Okay. Any questions there?
I think the only question I've seen come in so far is most of our clients do end up using the light site, but could you briefly just describe some of the differences between the light and full?
So with the light site, I was able to not have to put all the data in. I can just put a little bit, like I can mark that they have employment income, and then I can upload the W-2s. I don't have to fill everything in. So that's a good one for your customers that are existing that you have carry forward, unless they want to go through it. And if a lot of things have changed from last year, but it's a lot less questions. It doesn't get as deeply involved. It doesn't take as much time because again, it's really more for your existing customers, where the full one would be like if you're trying to grow your business through social media and pulling in new customers that you have no data about. It'll have far more questions to ask them to fulfill the information you need to do the return. So it just kind of depends how you're using mobile. Again, some people use it with their existing and they just send them the link and say, send me all your documents. And then others are trying to use it through social media to bring in new clients like millennials or DIYers that are looking for something else. They don't want to use, H&R Blocks or Tax Act or Tax Slayer because of all the garbage that happened with the metadata. And so they're looking for an alternative. And this is kind of like an assisted DIY. They enter it all in, but you're going to look at it and review it and make sure that it's correct. And you're going to actually transmit it. It's not like the DIY software where they put it in and they transmit it. That's why I said it's a DIY assisted, preparer assisted, because you have to make sure all the data's in. You are the one that's going to transfer it to the IRS, not them. Okay. Anything else?
Looks like next question. Are clients able to upload multiple documents at a time?
They can't.
I believe they can on the mobile site.
Hold on, let me go here. And that's what happens when you submit, but I'll come down here to where you can upload additional documents. So if they have them in a file, see here, like let me go down here and do taxpayer W-2. I think if they have them all in one file, let me hold shift and see if I hold shift, no. It's doing one at a time. But if they have scanned them in and it's in one file, then they can do that.
Can you select to upload another file though? Because doesn't it keep a running list of them?
Hold on.
It's been a minute since I've done it, but.
Right. So then I can select a file to upload. Let's try this one. I don't even know what. So see, I can select multiples, but it wants to know what it is. So once I did the W-2 stuff, then I could upload it. So I can do it that way. So then I can do submit documents. They are gone. Then I can come here. And again, we'll just pretend I'm doing driver's licenses again. If I can find them. So we'll do husband and wife here. Nope. Guess I have to get rid of that one. It doesn't want to come up. So there's one, and then I can select a file and I can go get the second one. Somebody's helped me and added other ones in here. There's this one. I know that one works. I use that one all the time. So then there's the 2 driver's licenses. So they can do it at the end, but, and again, if they have it all in one file, so if I used a scanner and put all my W-2s and all my documents in and labeled the file tax documents and it had 8 documents in it, then I could select that file that I've saved somewhere that has multiple documents in it. I was trying to see if I had anything in here that's, no. But then I can upload it like that if I want multiple things. But I would have to save it as one or do it the way I just showed it to you. That answer?
Yep. And then I think the next question, do we have to upload all the documents and licenses in order to be able to e-file? They don't have to. It's a way for them to get documents to you so you don't have to go back and request it for your due diligence.
Correct. And you want to have it, especially if you're doing things virtually, you want to have it that you're checking documentation, that they've got stuff, that it's not somebody just calling you. Maybe I stole somebody's purse and they have their W-2 in it, right? Hopefully most people don't carry their Social Security card. So it's one of those things that they want to verify that it's really that person. So you would want them to do some sort of verification of uploading a driver's license, Social Security cards, things like that, to make sure that it's the person, that you're talking to, that you're doing their return and it's not fraudulent. Same thing with using that remote signature, because it's going to ask questions that aren't in my purse that got stolen, right? They're going to ask like, who has your current car loan, or what address did you live in 2020? Well, none of that stuff's in somebody's purse. So it verifies that it really is that person, and it's gotten the information and double checked that they know the answers to those questions. Anything else?
All right. And it doesn't look like we're having anything else come in just yet.
And I guess we're done unless there's something else you want me to go over. I did everything on the list you gave me.
Nope, I think that was perfect. Thank you again so much. And then for everybody else, just quick reminder, we do have a new webinar we haven't done before coming up on Monday. And that webinar, we are going to go ahead and cover additional resources you guys have built into the TaxWise Solution Center. So we're going to go over the different reports available, additional training, knowledge base, and a lot of great information that'll help you and your team. So if you aren't signed up for that webinar yet, I would recommend going ahead and blocking out time. I believe it's at 11:30 on Monday. That's going to be Eastern time. And we look forward to seeing y'all there.
Sounds great. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day and have a good weekend.
You as well. Talk to you guys soon. Bye.
Bye, everybody.